Good afternoon. Would you all please stand for the student procession? I guess that's right. Good afternoon and welcome, graduates, family members, our faculty, to the Master of Science of Anesthesia Diploma ceremony for the class of 2023. You may all be seated. I'm Stan Gerson, the Dean of the School of Medicine at Case Western Reserve, and I'm thrilled to be with you here today for this incredible celebration and momentous occasion. Today we are hosting students from across the country. This is the only program we have in the School of Medicine with multiple national sites. And we welcome all of you who've come up to see us in Cleveland, those of you who are here in our region and from across the country, and our students who have traveled here as well. And I'm delighted that we bring not only folks from Houston and Washington, D.C., but also to the newest of our programs at Austin in Texas. So you've made history today as the first graduates from that program. One of the opportunities that I have as the Dean of the School of Medicine is to visit across the country the fellow graduates of our medical school, anesthesiologists, OBGYNs, surgeons from across the country, and they tell me how incredibly important your profession is and how important it will be, that there's an incredible need for more CAAs across the country, and we're looking to you to fill that gap and to help us expand our program as well. So as I look at all of you as graduates, our newest alumni, I'm struck by the fact that each of you has taken a very unique path to get here. At this point, some of you were science majors in college, some of you had other degrees, other interests, and came to this profession, which I hope you then form as the essence of your career for the rest of your activity in medicine. As certified anesthesiologist assistants, you play a critical role at some of the most vulnerable times in the patient's lives. And as other healthcare professionals, you provide critical service. And I want to point out that you've been taught by some of the best in the country. Our executive medical director, Dr. Matt Norcia, was recently elected as the vice chair of the American Society of Anesthesists Committee on the Anesthetist Assistant Education and Practice Committee. So congratulations to Dr. Norcia. He is just one of a large number of our dedicated faculty, as I said, across our sites. I also want to point out Dr. Carrie Twitchell, Associate Director for the Cleveland site, who has previously served as president and is currently on the board of directors of the American Academy of Anesthesists Assistants. Shane Angus, our Associate Director for Program Development, who served for many years on the board of directors of the Anesthesia Patient Safety Foundation. And I'm proud to note that other of our faculty have critical roles. I also want to point out that we have both moved our MSA program into the School of Medicine, and as such, we'll be educating you for the next classes at the Health Education Campus. So when you come back to visit, you can feel part of that wonderful location as well. And they'll be joining many of our other students in medicine, nursing, social work, and dentistry. As I mentioned, we look forward to you and you becoming our educators as well as we expand our programs. It's been incredibly successful and very well recognized as an accredited program. So now I'd like to turn the podium over to Joe Rafisi, Executive Director of the MSA program and Program Director for the Cleveland location and an alumnus himself.
I usually don't read a speech, but I'm doing it today. Good afternoon, graduates, faculty, families, and friends. Thank you, Dean Gerson. When teaching quality patient care to our students, we have always emphasized the importance of empathy and compassion, starting with the students' first day in the program. We do indeed encourage them to check their egos at the operating room door and focus on patient-centric anesthesia care. This is the hallmark of our program. My name is Joe Rafisi. I am the Executive Program Director for the MSA Program Network. We first expanded our program into Houston in 2010. This is my 25th year running the Cleveland program as Program Director. My personal journey includes starting practice as a CAA in 1982, and that was at Metro Health, which it still is the county hospital. So there was a lot of fun going on there at the time. I was hired by Dr. Cascorby to UH, and Dr. Cascorby was at that time the chair of the Department of Anesthesiology, and he is an honored guest this afternoon. For some reason, Dr. Cascorby then gave me his blessing to start working administratively with the newly established MS program in 1990. And actually, the program did transition from a baccalaureate degree in undergrad to a Master of Science degree in the mid-1980s. Dr. Norsch and I were lucky enough to start the Houston program in 2010. Our network team, including Shane Angus, founded the DC program in 2012, and then the Austin program just last year. A while back, we managed to get the degree name changed from Master of Science to Master of Science in Anesthesia, and this was no small task. Shane Angus, who was a student in the program at the time, this was probably in the late 90s, he thought that it would be a good idea to have anesthesia on the diploma, and it would differentiate between the other degrees that were out there at the master level. And I agreed with him at that time, and I started working through the then Dean of Grad Studies, Joyce Gentoff, to get the name changed. Unfortunately, I had no success at that time. Eventually, in the late 2010s, the time to try again was ripe, and we went through the university president, the deans of the school, the faculty senate, and the Ohio State Board of Regents to get that degree name changed, and we were successful. When this happened, this separated us from the MS degree programs, the other MS degree programs in the university. We are very happy that we succeeded because now, with many thanks to Dean Gerson and Beistein Lojo, we are privileged to be hosting our own diploma ceremony. This solemn and joyous event is the manifestation of that privilege. The CWRU program is one of only 2 university programs in the nation that initially launched the anesthesiologist assistant profession as we know it. The MSA program started 53 years ago in 1970 as a Bachelor of Science and Health Science under the leadership of Dr. J.S. Grabenstein, who was then the chair of the Department of Anesthesiology at university hospitals. And he was already a renowned leader in his field. Dr. Grabenstein is one of the initial developers of simulation in anesthesia training. His work in that field somewhat began at university hospitals. He brought with him to Case Western Reserve the concept and outline for the anesthesiologist assistant program. 50 years ago, the program graduated its first 8 students in 1973. These graduates represented a new type of anesthetist whose clinical and technological skills complemented the traditional medical role of the anesthesiologist. Over time, we became recognized as highly valuable members of the anesthesia care team. Today, we are privileged to have 2 of those 1973 graduates here with us today, Mr. Jim Gavax and Mr. Golem Maya. Jim and Golem, please stand. And be recognized for all you have contributed to the AA profession, to the MSA program, and for all of your personal achievements in the field of anesthesia. Truth be told, the first surgical case that I ever witnessed as an AA student in 1980 was a carotid endarterectomy, and that was with Jim at St. Vincent's Hospital. I don't know if you remember that, Jim, but you were my preceptor, and thankfully I did not faint. I was not intimidated by a wide open neck with a carotid bleeding. Jim and I do share that unique relationship. Also, when I was hired at UH, I was placed in Jim's locker. Now, Jim was a senior anesthetist at the time. Needless to say, he wasn't too thrilled about having to share his locker, but he did accommodate me just fine. Golem graduated and took a job in Cleveland at the now closed Forest City Hospital. He was urged to do this by Dr. Grabenstein so that he could assist the department chair in clinical data collection to aid in his early exploration of anesthesia simulation. Golem is a longtime friend and a huge supporter of our profession. In fact, his 2 daughters are practicing CAAs in Atlanta, and his son is presently a student in our DC program. The MSA program has come a long way from that first class in 1973. In fact, somewhere amongst these graduates, the 1,000th graduate of the MSA program will process, buy, and receive a diploma. No one knows who that is yet. We know. Our network of alumni is strong and is nationwide. I encourage you as new CAAs to utilize this network with pride, regardless of which program you attended during the last 2 years. Your diplomas all read the same, and that is Master of Science in Anesthesia from Case Western Reserve University. I further encourage you to follow the example of Golem and Jim, as well as many of the faculty who have supported you the past 2 years. Please stay connected and train our students and other students from other programs well, so that you can continue our tradition of training the best CAAs in the nation. Now I am pleased to introduce our speaker today, and he is my personal friend, Dr. Craig Delanzak. Dr. Delanzak comes from us through Tulane University's Department of Anesthesiology, where he is the vice chair and assistant professor of the department, as well as the director of clinical anesthesia at Tulane Lakeside Hospital. Dr. Delanzak is the assistant secretary of the American Society of Anesthesiologists, and right now, I believe he is on a pretty direct path to be president of that organization in a few years. He has been a past president of the Louisiana Society of Anesthesiologists and former director from Louisiana to the ASA Board of Directors. He also is a former, prior to Joining Tulane in 2018, he was the founding member and partner in Anesthesiology and Perioperative Medical Consultants, which was a 7-physician private anesthesiology group. As if that isn't enough, Dr. Delancak has been one of the AA profession's strongest advocates in Louisiana and at the national level. He has endured much personal and professional ridicule from our political opposition because of his desire to start an AA training program in Louisiana and because of his efforts to get CAAs licensed in that state. We are endlessly grateful for his continuing support of the AA profession and for being here today to share what advice he has learned throughout his multifaceted career in anesthesia, education, and advocacy. Dr. Delancak.
The key was to make sure I traverse these steps without falling, so bear with me as I get my notes together as well. First, while I do that, I just want to let you know how just thrilled I am that I am here today, and it is not lost on me that this is the 50th graduation, and not lost on me that I got the opportunity to be the first to speak to this solo ceremony. So you get to have this ceremony on your own. I love that. But congratulations. You have all done it now. You once again will become graduates. You move from students to graduates, and soon will be practicing as an anesthesiologist assistant and a certified anesthesiologist assistant. But as said in every commencement address that is ever delivered, the learning is not over. You've heard that multiple times, I'm sure. But I'm not talking about the certification exams or the continuing education, not even talking about the new drugs or techniques or procedures that you're going to see. I'm talking about learning how to be a professional. And in particular, learning how to be a professional who is a certified AA, but a professional human. And that's very important. I want you to think about that phrase, professional human. I speak not as much about the noun human, which I hope you are, and Joe Rafisi tells me is still part of the prerequisites of the program, that you're human. And nor am I speaking of the common excuse or phrase, I'm only human. I'm really speaking of the use of the word human as an adjective, or more likely or more commonly used, humane. As definition of the word humane or human, if you go down far enough, you'll find a definition in particular that I like. It is representative of or susceptible to the sympathies and frailties of human nature. So being human is representative of or susceptible to the sympathies and frailties of human nature. So just as you've been taking care of your patients during this past couple of years in your education, or maybe before some of you, you will continue to take care of those patients for the rest of your career as an anesthesiologist assistant. Being human, I promise you, is where you can distinguish yourself from all of your colleagues. As a physician, I obtained privileges to practice medicine at my hospitals. You obtain privileges to practice at the hospitals that you go to. It truly is a privilege to care for patients. You'll practice in an anesthesia care team, which is probably one of the safest models of healthcare delivery, despite the fact that we work with poisons every day. Think about that. Somehow, through your skill and training in the anesthesia care team, we can poison patients while a surgical trauma is going on and have the patients thank us at the end. That's pretty severe. But let's put ourselves into the heads and hearts of the patients that we care for. I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, have had some sort of procedure that required sedation or anesthesia. It usually starts with a visit to your physician where you find out, and maybe a surprise, that you're going to need some sort of surgical procedure. On other occasions, such as childbirth or elective procedures, there may be a lot of time in advance that you get to think about it. Think about the journey of the patient from that moment. You're receiving them, but think about their journey. Despite any other medical conditions or life factors that are taking place, they recognize that they will undergo a procedure that may change their lives forever. There's going to be concern about pain, dismemberment, disfigurement, even death. There's significant financial concerns, and that is, you hear that every day about patients, not just the medical bills, not just their concern about loss of time at their work, but just how this will affect the rest of their careers. There's a concern about when will they be back to normal, or even will they ever be back to normal. So think about that. So as the date is set, the preparation begins. It's in their minds they're coming to surgery. They have to request time off. They have to get care for their family, maybe elderly, maybe travel arrangements. Some are trying to lose weight. Most of us are trying to lose weight. Some of us are trying to gain weight, not me. And some are trying to quit smoking. Some are trying to optimize themselves. And other patients are just trying to hang on till their surgical procedure takes place. Whatever it is, that is all on top of the surgical stress that they feel. Many patients haven't thought about anesthesia until they begin to get closer. And hopefully there's been a pre-op visit. But for so many, that first thought of anesthesia is the day they show up. And that's when the concerns may arise, but probably hasn't sunk in yet, that at some point, and it will hit them, that they will place their lives into the hands of the anesthesia care team, and that's where you all come in. It's a serious role for us all. Patients have worried for weeks, and even the most stoic has lost sleep the night before. Plans have been made. Children and spouses have been told everything's going to be okay. And then the morning of surgery arrives. And I would ask you, what do you as a patient want to see and hear when you show up for your surgery? How do you want to be greeted? When the anesthesia team members introduce themselves to you, how do you envision that will go? Will your questions be answered? Will you feel cared for or comforted? So right now, let's put ourselves in a position of patience these next couple of minutes. Almost immediately, day of surgery, your morning starts off strange. No coffee, no breakfast, maybe a pre-surgery drink. An early morning, you dress in your loose-fitting clothing, grabbing your ID and your proof of insurance, and show up to the assigned spot. How are you greeted from that first moment? Are you greeted like a patient? Are you greeted like a problem or a concern? Are you addressed as the procedure you're having? Hey, that's the gallbladder. Or maybe by the surgeon, that's McGinnis's first case. Is that the way we want to be greeted? So soon after that, you're stripped down to an ill-fitting, minimal clothing, poorly designed gown, and a bunch of repetitive questions are asked, and if you're lucky, you get stuck for your IV one time. The cool fluid begins. This is clearly not a normal day. If you're like most patients, you still have no idea the name, background, or reputation of the anesthesia care team that's about to provide for you. Unfortunately, still very few patients know what an anesthesiologist is, and nationally, unfortunately, less know what an anesthesiologist assistant is. But that's what this 50th class is going to go set out and do, correct? And you can do so one patient at a time. You can do this one patient at a time. So let's go back into that role of the patient. A knock comes at your door if you're lucky, or someone comes quickly in holding some paperwork, a tablet, and begins into their questions. They're wearing scrubs, they've got a name tag, it's small, you don't know who it is, but I'm John with anesthesia, and I need to ask you some questions. Is that the greeting that you would want? Without making eye contact or acknowledging the other people in the room, the barrage of questions begins in a robotic checklist fashion. Are you embarrassed to answer any of those questions? Did anyone care? Did anyone ask? Did the person interviewing you introduce themselves and tell you exactly what they're doing? But this is part of the process, so as a patient, you move on. The time comes and you're wheeled down a long, loud, brightly lit hallway, minimal clothing, barely covered, a most powerless position staring at the ceiling. The door of the OR opens and there's more masked people, more lights, more cold. Do you remember the first time you saw the inside of the operating room as just a bystander? What must that be like for patients who have never seen it? What did you think that first time? So after you're instructed to shuffle to the bed, which is a bunch of commands, move your bottom, is your gown untied, watch your IV, take your pill, you've all been there. And you set bottom onto the coldest surface you've ever been on. What do you want to hear at that time? Is it complaints about how quickly you got in the room? Complaints about equipment? Complaints about breaks that haven't been given? Have you experienced these exchanges as students? I bet you have. Cold stickers and monitors come at you from all sides as the blood pressure cuff squeezes intensely that first time. People pull at your arms, a strap is applied, and soon the cold plastic mask is applied. You feel the burn of the medication as the cold flush begins. At that moment, you take a look around, hoping and praying everything will go well. And the question is, do you feel cared for and do you feel comforted? Do you trust those around you? Are you embarrassed? Will it all work out? Too late, you're now off to sleep. Unfortunately, that's the experience of too many patients, and that's my personal experience as a patient. Words I would use to describe my situation: impersonal, unprofessional, cold, scared, and embarrassed. I think we can do better. Ask yourself, what would you want to hear and experience, and apply that to your daily practice and your profession. Recognize everything that went into that patient arriving in your pre-op area and put aside your own concerns, whether about that case or something else. For the patient's sake, make a great first impression. They are looking for you to make that great first impression. Knock, wait to be asked to enter. Smile, make eye contact. Greet the room, reach out your hand, call the patient by their name and let them know who you are. Good morning, Mr. James. I'm Craig DeLanzac, and I'll be your physician anesthesiologist today, and I'm going to take great care of you today. Who did you bring with you? Great. Is it okay if we talk about your medical conditions in front of everyone in the room? Fantastic. How are you feeling today? And listen to what they say. Ask them, how are you feeling? That's the start I want to hear, and that's the start that I do for every patient, no matter how busy, stressed, or frustrated I am. Because regardless of our day, that patient is having one of the most stressful days of their life, period. Look calm, attentive, interact, and be human. Let the patient know, without even telling them, that they can trust you to take care of their precious life that day. Answer questions the way you would want them answered. Explain everything and be positive. Be careful when you're walking the patient down the hallway. That's where a lot of stuff happens, right? I've witnessed on too many occasions people talk about just how tired they are or how late the party went the night before. Think about the patient's thoughts when they hear those comments. No matter how much sedation they've had, they're picking up on these things. Be mindful. Protect their humility. Be polite and tell them what you're doing. Talk to them. Be human. You will develop your own style and you'll learn what works and doesn't work for you in this arena. You'll learn what patients want to hear. You'll learn what your personality fits with. Slow down your thoughts and your fears. You're going to be scared. You're going to be scared first day. You're going to be scared 27 years into this practice. Slow down your fears and make it the patient's case, the patient's equipment, the patient's medication, the patient's day. Be there for them. Be honest. Prepare for them. Utilize your lifelong learning for your patients. Talk to the patients after surgery. If you have the chance, talk to them. Talk to the family. If it went well, great. If it didn't go well, even more important to talk to them and explain to them what can be done differently in the future. They will be concerned, so please address their fears. Be professional, be humane, be human. So I've only scratched the surface on just some of the techniques I want you to employ and the learning that we all have left to do. Life behind the drapes can be sort of a thankless one, I promise you. But if you utilize some of the techniques and be human, you will get a great sense of accomplishment, I promise. Patients will recognize, your coworkers recognize, your care team workers recognize, and you will elevate them as well. Who knows, someday they may be taking care of you, and you wanted to treat your patients like you wanted to be treated, so how well did you do? Thank you once again for allowing me this fantastic opportunity to be in this wonderful venue to address your family. So now it's your turn to go out, make your careers, and impact others' lives in a positive fashion. Be a good family member, spouse, partner, mom, dad, son, or daughter. Be a great anesthesiologist assistant. And remember, regardless of the circumstances, please be human. Your patients deserve it. It's my turn now to be human, put myself in your shoes, and I know what you want. You want this address to end so that you can get on with the celebration. So I will come to an end. Good luck. Congratulations. Now let's celebrate. Good luck.
Thank you, Dr. DeLanzac, for your inspiring and tremendously heartfelt remarks. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Leah Logio. I serve as the Vice Dean for Medical Education here at Case Western Reserve University School of Medicine. The MSA program moved administratively under medical education in 2022, which led to this inaugural diploma ceremony for our MSA students. I've had the privilege of working closely with the MSA program leadership in support of these accomplished and talented graduates before us. Today, I am pleased to have the honor of announcing the inaugural recipients of the MSA program's new Helmut Kaskorby Valedictorian Award. Dr. Kaskorby was the head of the Department of Anesthesiology at University Hospitals from 1980 to 2000. During this time, he oversaw a critical period in which the program transitioned from the Bachelor of Science to the Masters of Science in Anesthesia program we have today. Without his unwavering support and conviction of the need for more mid-level anesthetists in the modern operating rooms, the program could very well have ceased to exist. But instead, the program flourishes, including the graduates we celebrate today. We all owe him a great debt. Thus, in honor of Dr. Keskorby's significant contributions to the MSA program at Case Western Reserve University, and for his longstanding commitment to the anesthesiologist assistant profession, the MSA program started the Helmut Keskorby PhD MD scholarship in 2011. The $500 scholarship was previously awarded to the first-year student in each program's location who had the highest score on their spring clinical comprehensive exam. This year, however, the program leadership has elected to transform the Keskorby Scholarship into the Helmut Keskorby Valedictorian Award, a $1,000 award recognizing the most outstanding spring graduating student from each program's location. It is our hope that this new student award better recognizes the very important impact Dr. Keskorby has made on the AA profession and on this program for years to come. We are extremely honored today to have Dr. Keskorby with us in person. To Dr. Keskorby, words cannot express how incredibly grateful the School of Medicine, the MSA program, and all of us here today are for the many, many selfless and visionary contributions you have made in service of the anesthesiologist assistant profession over the years. If you are so able, please stand so we may offer you our deepest gratitude and our sincerest appreciation for all you have done. Thank you. Thank you, sir. This year, given our first graduating class at the new Austin program location, 4 individuals will receive the Helmut Keskorby Valedictorian Award. 2 of our valedictorians could unfortunately not join us in Cleveland today, but we'd like to celebrate them nonetheless. For the Austin program location, Anisa Patel. For the Houston program location, Sydney Sopera. Our 2 other valedictorians are with us here today. When I call your name, please come up to the stage to receive a certificate recognizing your impressive accomplishments from your program director. For the Cleveland program location, Spencer Deckert. And for the Washington program location, Rosa Scholl. Congratulations to our valedictorians and to all our graduates on their accomplishments from the past 2 years. Best wishes as you venture forth into the next exciting chapter of your professional lives. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Shane Angus, and I am the Associate Executive Program Director for the MSA programs, as well as the Program Director for the Washington, D.C. location. Today, I have the privilege of announcing the MSA program's Student Honors and Faculty Awards. The success of the MSA program is based on the inputs and the many hours of dedicated service given by a bevy, yes, a bevy, of faculty members, didactic, simulation, clinical. In the official commencement book, available online, and in the graduates' gift bags, you will see a long list of clinical instructors. They all train with our students on a daily basis in our partner hospitals across the country. These residents, attendings, and anesthesiologist assistants were voted by the student body at each program location as demonstrating excellence in clinical teaching and service to the MSA program. Today, these clinical instructors are providing much-needed clinical care and are currently teaching clinically, and so are unable to attend today's celebration. We do, though, wish to honor them with a round of applause for the important contribution they have made to the education of the graduates before you today. Program leadership is not a responsibility taken up just by the faculty and the professionals. Every year, student leaders demonstrate a commitment to their own education as well as to their peers and to the MSA program. Their leadership takes many forms, such as serving on advisory boards, interviewing applicants, guiding prospective students on shadowing days, stepping up to be participating in service activities, fundraising for professional organizations, advocating for their own student interests, and of course, there's several of them here today volunteering as ushers today from Cleveland. We'd like to invite those graduates serving in these leadership roles to be honored for the important service you do provided to your peers and to the MSA program. Would the following groups of student leaders from all sites please stand when I announce your leadership roles? Representatives from Case Western Reserve's Biomedical Graduate Student Organization, professional advocacy and legislative representatives. There are many of you here today in those roles, as well as our class chiefs. Please stand and be recognized. Thank you very much. Your program leadership and your peers thank you for your many hours of dedication, commitment, and service over the past couple of years. We really do know that the profession, our profession, will be in really good hands for some time. Your steadfastness and your experience will help you be exceptional leaders at the helm of our profession as the future comes upon us. Well, we will now transition to what everybody is here for today, and that is for the diploma ceremony. I invite the Cleveland leadership to the podium to begin.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Carrie Twitchell. I am the Associate Program Director for the MSA program here in Cleveland. It's my honor to introduce the Case Western Reserve University MSA Cleveland students. At this time, I'd like to ask the entire graduating class from Cleveland to please rise and move to the right of the stage until I call your name to receive your diploma. Hannah Botten. Siham Shafig. Caitlin Chastain. Spencer James Deckert. Yuling Deng. Ew. Anwar Fahim Adir. Anisha Gala. If anyone couldn't hear that in the back, Anisha, by sheer luck of the draw, is the MSA program's 1,000th student. Congratulations. Blake Harvey. Samuel Robert Hitchcock. Matthew Lewis Clafter. Hey. Michael Bradley Comment. Dohan Liu. Beck Lundeen. Rushali Malatkar. Sydney Nicole Mann. Woo! Anna Catherine Milton. Victoria Eftering. Miles Person Parker. All right. Kelly Rhodes. John William Skaggs. Elizabeth Lynn Walcott. Last but not least, Phelan Wolf. Friends and family, please join me in congratulating the Cleveland class of 2023.
Good afternoon, graduates, family, friends, and faculty. I bring greetings to you all from the newest CASE Master of Science and Anesthesia program located in Austin, Texas. My name is Ty Townsend, and I have the privilege of being the program director for the Austin location. For a number of years now, the Austin anesthesia community has been heavily involved with educating CASE MSA students from the Houston program, and each year, 3 or 4 students elect to focus their training in Austin. This partnership has grown over the years, and last May, Case Western welcomed its first class of 12 students dedicated to didactic, simulation, and clinical training in the Austin community. The Texas Society of Anesthesiologists and anesthesia groups across the state continue to welcome the inclusion of certified anesthesiologist assistants into their practice, as evidenced by greater than 33% of this graduating class taking employment in the state of Texas. This support for our graduates has allowed the Austin program to grow faster than we had anticipated. This is all made possible, in part, by the hard work and dedication of the students that have been training in Austin. Our Austin 4 are not able to join us today, but I know they were working to be able to view this remotely. Amy, Farron, Justin, and Issa, congratulations on completing the CASE MSA program, and from all of us gathered in Cleveland today, we look forward to watching you and supporting you throughout your careers. Thank you.
Congratulations to our Houston graduates, and welcome to you, your family, your friends, and those that are supporting you, especially our international guests. I am Ken Maloney, the program director for the Houston MSA program, and am honored to be here to celebrate this milestone of your accomplishments with you. Houston is the 4th largest city in the country and houses the largest medical center in the world. Our students train in the Texas Medical Center and throughout Houston, preparing them to do high acuity cases and be ready for day one on their new careers. As prepared as they are, their learning is not over. New medications, new technology, and innovation in science make ours a lifelong career of learning. I urge all graduates to take a deep breath, to celebrate their accomplishments, and then to avoid mediocrity by constantly challenging yourselves, asking questions, and finding ways to improve your practice. The stethoscope is a recognizable symbol of those in the healthcare field, but it is more than a symbol. It's a tool, a diagnostic tool that allows us to care better for our patients. Never allow this tool to remain unused or around your neck. Always listen to the heart and lungs. My goal when you began this program 2 years ago was to prepare you to take care of my family members. While we hope never to need your services, I am confident that I can place my loved ones in your hands once you graduate from our program. When you leave here today and start your career, remember that each patient is someone's family member, that every patient deserves your best efforts, and every day is a day to improve your practice. Congratulations to all the graduates, and good luck in your new careers.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Ike. Also, my real name, actually, is Dr. Rashida Eke Oduru, and obviously everyone has difficulty with that, so everyone calls me Dr. Ike. But I am Case Western's medical director from Houston. I am also a Case Western medical student graduate all the way back from 2008, and I have the distinct privilege of presenting the Houston graduating class of 2023. So I would like to congratulate each of the graduates and welcome you into the honorable field of medicine. I'm very proud of each of you for your hard work and your commitment to serving your communities. While our field is in the midst of a nationwide shortage, actually, of anesthesiologists and anesthetists, I enthusiastically welcome you to the anesthesia care team and I look forward to seeing you succeed, especially those of you who will subspecialize in pediatric anesthesia as I do. At this time, I would like to ask the entire graduating class from Houston to please rise and move to the right of the stage until I call your name to receive your diploma. Okay. Samantha Ann Crabtree. Jessica Davis Gunn. Ali Kershid. Alexi Elena Kraus. Ramiro Ivan Lopez. Okay. Sahana Sai Manikandan. Jolly May. No problem. Kaylee Brooke Mims. Jessica Osaga Nosa. Emily Stalnick. and Kayla Tran. Friends and family, please join me in congratulating the Houston class of 2023. Woo!
Well, good afternoon. It's me again. I was just up here a little while ago. I'm Shane Angus. I'm the director at Washington, D.C. I'd like to joke a little bit, but you know, it's that tiny, small, humble town on the Potomac River. You might have heard about it before. Anyways, one thing that I've noticed in today's talks is a little bit of a theme that runs through it. And if I may say so in all sincerity, the theme also runs a little bit in Washington, D.C. And what that theme is service. Many people move to Washington, D.C. to be of service, right? Whether it be in government or the NIH or some other entity that is doing its best in its best possible way to be a better place for us to live in. Our students also do that, I believe. We all believe that, as a matter of fact. And so with that, I would say that another word for service is purpose. And we like to consider those both simultaneously because they do intertwine and one revolves around the other. And with that understanding of those two, I feel like our students and our faculty and our medical director and our clinical coordinators and our hospitals also embolize that. So it is with great honor and on behalf of all the faculty and our medical director that I say to all of you, we really wish you the best and a heartfelt congratulations. You guys have been amazing.
Good afternoon. My name is Faye Horn, and I'm the medical director for the Washington program location. I'm pleased to be able to present to you the Washington graduating class of 2023. Case DC graduates, it's been my pleasure watching you all grow in your skills, your knowledge, and your compassion over the last 2 years, and I am excited to work with many of you as colleagues. My wish for each of you is to continue the pursuit of learning lifelong in this ever-changing field of medicine. At this time, I'd like to ask the entire graduating class from Washington to please rise and move to the right of the stage until I call your name to receive your diploma. First, we have Ruth Bartell. Tien An Bui. Courtney Osmond Campbell. Helena Guo. Riley Haas. Cassidy Ann Lee. Mary Elizabeth O'Donnell. Timothy Oladamola Olukani. Jonathan Chow. Nicholas Gopal Rico. Rosa Scholl. Magdalena Emily Valenti. William Way. And Carrie Wong. Friends and family, please join me in congratulating the Washington class of 2023.
Well, the important stuff is not quite done. An oath. What does an oath mean to you? You all took an oath when you started this program. Hopefully you understood what that oath meant at that time, but if you didn't then, I hope after 2 years of intensive training and taking care of people and making their lives better, you understand what that oath was all about. The oath, it was born out of one of our former medical director's idea, Joel Zivit, and he's actually two medical directors prior to Matt Norsha. He thought it would be a good idea for all of our students to take an oath and to take it seriously. And we've been doing it ever since. The significance of doing it today versus doing it when you started the program is that now you know exactly what the oath means. And you are committed, I hope, to going out and practicing pretty much based on what that oath says. So, why don't we renew that oath? I would like all of you to stand. I would like to have you please turn and face your friends and family. And then let us recite this oath. Faculty and guests who are CAAs are invited to stand and join in the reading if you wish. I hereby solemnly swear in the presence of all assembled to carry out to the best of my abilities the following oath. I will strive to reduce the suffering of my patients at all times, and never will I use my skills to knowingly cause injury or any wrongdoing. I will treat each patient with equal energy and respect their diversity, while safeguarding their privacy and honoring their right of autonomy. I will work to be an exemplary ambassador of the anesthesiologist assistant profession and will always work to strengthen its place in the healthcare team. Ladies and gentlemen, I present you the class of 2023 of the Master of Science in Anesthesia program. Very good. Before we depart and officially conclude today's ceremony, I just have a few reminders for you. Our reception is going to be held across the street in the Allen Memorial Medical Library. Families and friends are invited to proceed there directly after the graduates have cleared out of the chapel. The reception will be on the second floor of the library. The Dittrich Museum of Medical History, with many fascinating and interesting collections, is on the third floor of that building and will be open for you to visit. And let me tell you, they have some very interesting things up there. Please check it out. Graduates, we know that you are anxious to see everyone who came with you here today, but we would ask you to give us just a few minutes once we have processed out of the building to hang around for class photos. Just don't go over to the library quite yet. We'll hang out, we'll take class photos with faculty, with friends, and we'll be done with that before you know it. Personally, I want to thank Dr. Gerson and Dr. Lojo for their continued support of the MSA program and for being here with us today to celebrate our achievements. Dr. Delanzak, thank you for joining us from Louisiana and sharing your words of wisdom. Dr. Kaskorby, we are truly grateful for all you have done for the MSA program and profession. Thank you for joining us today on this special occasion. Jim and Golem, and the many other alumni who continue to give back, thank you for being here and being a shining example for our graduates to follow. Thanks to the MSA Network team for putting this inaugural diploma ceremony together. Thanks to the faculty, administrators, and staff at all 4 locations. You are the lifeblood of all that is righteous about AA education. Special thanks to Lauren Bahatka, without whose tireless efforts and attention to detail this event would not have happened the way it has so far, if I don't screw it up. Lastly, I would personally like to thank the graduates. You are what keeps my motor running, and you have created a soft spot in my heart forever. Congratulations to all of you.